let's talk a little bit about practical forgiveness. But I suppose before we get into the practicality of learning to think differently about someone and not let them take space in our head, we kind of have to talk about the theoretical forgiveness first. So my version, which I shouldn't even really take credit for because, it's a lot of what I practice comes from a book I practice called Course in Miracles. It's really the premise behind this book is that, we're all one, and to awaken to our true nature, we are to look at all things, beings, circumstances as the light that we are. And so that means we can't judge through our small filter of conditioning. And so if I'm resentful at someone, if I'm having a grievance, I've got to first recognize and take responsibility for my perception. I call it perceptual responsibility. That's the first step. It's that this person isn't the way that they appear to be. It's that they are being seen through my filter of reality. And my filter isn't always correct, though my filter might agree with other people's filters. And it can seem very self-righteous that this person's wrong and I'm right. Doesn't make it correct. Correct perception, at least according to like A Course in Miracles and some of these other ideas, is that, like, let's think about it in a spiritual context. That if you have some sort of higher power or God, does God see that person the same way? Or Jesus or whatever your thing is. Would nature see this person the same way through your judgments that they're an asshole, or that they shouldn't be doing this, or that they're manipulative? Probably not. There would probably be another way of looking at things. So the first idea is to recognize that my judgments about the situation, my judgments about this person, come on, Mugs, are not accurate and they don't bring me peace. If I can recognize that, I can take responsibility so I can actually do some work around it. Because if I'm just thinking it's all them, then they're going to have to change for me to be okay. And that's likely not going to happen. So I'm perceiving this situation incorrectly. And then the next step is to be willing, this is a hard part, be willing to shift that perception. Now, the willingness takes you have to know how much you want it. You got to know how much you're suffering as a result of holding on to this. How much energy am I expelling? Let's be real. If you're really honest with yourself, you're probably hating on this person. They're taking up way too much brain space. When you're around them, you're feeling yucky. You know what I mean? Can you imagine what it would be like to walk into a room with this person and just be like, You know what I mean? So we got to understand that, like, without this judgment, without this resentment, I'm going to be free, and I am responsible for my own freedom. So I take perceptual responsibility. Yep, I am seeing this person through a lens that's foggy. Number two, I'm willing. I want this gone. Above all else, and though this is where it's tricky, because if we're not 100% willing, I think, or pretty close to 100% willing, we're going to feel still self-righteous. Yeah, but, they don't really deserve it. Or like, when we're talking to other people and they're agreeing with us and we have these witnesses to our resentment, and it feels good because, like, that anger kind of gives us power and whatever. And it's like, if I'm not willing to let that go, dude, I'm not going to find freedom. It might feel good in that moment, but we're going to continue to feel the yuckies. So I'm willing to let it go. And then what I like to do is a little prayer. Now, if prayer isn't really your thing, you can say an affirmation to the universe. You can just have an intention, whatever works for you. And you just say something along the lines of, I'm seeing this incorrectly. Help me see it differently. Help me see, if you got a higher power, it might work like, help me see this person through your eyes. Now, this is not a one-time process. And I am willing to completely let go of my perception. This is a continuous process of learning to continue to let go every time we have a judgment of this person. Forgiveness isn't like I hopped on my knees and I decided one day and I forgave and boop, there I see them only light and love. That's just not how it works. At least in my experience. Hopefully you have some sort of miraculous experience like that. But I've done this work, dude, and it totally works. Like, I've done this work in situations where I've got compliments from people like, dude, like, that is a situation where I wouldn't have been able to forgive. And it's like, I'm not like tooting my own horn because it's not me. All I was doing was willing to let go of my perception. That's all I did. And maybe over and over and over again. But the big guns do the work. You know what I mean? It's like, once you're willing, you know what I mean? The universe responds. It's like, oh, you want to love? Yeah, let's love. But let's take a look a little bit more about like why it's helpful. I mean, the people we're resenting, you know, are seeking love in strange ways. If they had their needs met, if they felt loved, they would act and behave in ways that made other people feel loved too. So we got to remember that, like, wouldn't I rather see this person? It's not like I'm pitying this person. Like, oh, you're worse than me and I'm better, so I'm going to forgive you. It's like, no, I want to see the light in them. Yeah, like, I've been hurt before too. Like, you spot it, you got it a lot of times. A lot of the judgments and characteristics and the things that trigger me are things that, like, exaggerated versions of something I have within me. Again, it's constantly coming back to that taking responsibility. And that doesn't mean we haven't been victims. And that people haven't done us wrong in this realm. Yeah, that kind of happens. But the whole idea is I want to transcend this. Do I want to go to the grave like hating people? It just doesn't feel good. And, you know, if you're like me and you really believe that, you know, we're all interconnected and we're all one, we don't go alone. Like, there is no enlightenment without all of us because we're one. So I don't know, just some things to sit with today. You know, I think the reflection today would be like, even if I just feel like a mild annoyance with someone, could I simply take perceptual responsibility? Like, you know, maybe that's through my own filter. Number 2, be willing to let it go. Like, I think I'd feel better without this. And number 3, like, surrender it and say, help me see this person differently. I'm a big believer, like, this small task, and though, you know, you have to do it consistently, will change your life.